good, y'all? What's up? What's up? You got a Cincy Fan talking with LB, but I'm watching. We watching. All right. What's good? What's good? Gotta appreciate the love. Gotta appreciate it. Good looking out, producer. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, that was me. But yeah, what's good? So, what we doing here? Always a little bit different when we do this. We got the Cincy Fan talking. That's me talking. And this is a fancy, a fancy. What's a fancy? You got a Cincy fan reviewing. Let's call it a Cincy fan reviewing. Let's go with that. And if you've been, up to date with us for the last couple of months or so, it's been me basically reviewing certain teacher movies. Still going with that little motif or flow or whatever, but I decided to switch it up for this week because the Michael Jackson movie came out. And it's all my kids in class have been talking about for like the past couple of weeks. And how do I say this? Most biopics I'm not really feeling. And we're going to talk about why and kind of dive into it. But from what the kids were telling me after they saw it, they was like, they learned a lot about Michael Jackson that they didn't know. And it gave them a real appreciation for the music. I've had people like trying to stand on their tiptoes and the little hee. I got kids moonwalking to the pencil sharpener. Like, but from what I heard, because I haven't seen the movie, but from what I heard about the movie, they kind of, and I'm going to use this word a lot, they kind of sanitized the movie. They kind of sanitized who Mike was. And in order for your biopic to be a solid biopic for me, you got to be willing to go there. Like, you got to be willing to either one, tell me some stuff I don't know, or two, tell me everything from, and it's gonna be that person's point of view or that estate's point of view. I get that, but I want it all. I don't want you leaving stuff out because it makes the person, the biopic person, look good or whatever. Because I feel like the biopics that are the best biopics, they're not afraid to go there. They lay it all out there, and they're like, you decide. You decide if you still like me and appreciate me after you see my entire story, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then you be the judge. I love biopics like that. So what I did was I went ahead and I rated. Well, I'm giving y'all my five favorite musical biopics, and I stuck with rap and R&B because that's kind of like my wheelhouse, hip hop and R&B. Um, I'll see if I can expand that out because there's some really good ones out there that are not hip hop and R&B. Um, they're not on this list. We got to do a different list. But if we talking my five best favorite ever hip hop slash R&B biopics. Um, I showed my wife the list, and she was feeling it, but she had an issue with one, and then we kind of talked it out, and I'm like, "Girl, you 100% right." So I had to slide that one off and put it in the honorable mentions. We're gonna talk about that right now. So, I have one, two, three honorable mentions. Um, my first one is Crazy Sexy Cool, the TLC story. It's one of those ones where I thought it was gonna be kind of trash when I first saw it. I really did. And then the more I watched it, the more I was like, hmm. The casting was great. Putting Lil Mama in as Left Eye was a really good move. Having Kiki Palmer play Chili was an excellent move. And for T-Boz, why am I blanking on her name? Watch it come to me like as I proceed. But she was on the game and she was on a couple other things. Really really solid. Was really solid as T-Boz. The only reason it's not on this list for me, the top five, is because I feel like the acting was just it wasn't as good as my top five. So I had to leave it off. Slept on. Probably the most underrated one. Too Legit, the MC Hammer story. A lot of people don't realize how good this one was. I felt like the dancing was amazing. I felt like true they stayed true to the I won't say the script of his life. They they really stayed true to what happened to MC Hammer. And for the really good movies, you saw a rise, you saw a fall. Well, you saw kind of like a grind and then a rise and then a fall and then a redemption. For the best ones, that's what you saw. And you didn't have to guess what was happening in each one. You kind of saw it. And Romany Malco did an excellent job as MC Hammer. I mean, the dance moves was precise, y'all, for real. And again, the only reason this isn't in the top five is because the acting wasn't as good as in my top five. Now, I got a top five. My number six is Straight Outta Compton. I originally had it as number five. And then the wife and I started talking, and I was like, you know what? Excellent point. And here's the point that she made, and here's the point I agree with 100%. The energy was excellent in the movie. The cinematography was great. The acting was top tier. The guy that played Easy E was absolutely amazing. He really was. It got to a point where I didn't feel like I was looking at an actor. I felt like I was watching Easy E. Like it was that good. His performance was that good. But it just felt sanitized. I mean, if you're a real hip hop head like myself, you're looking at this and you're looking like, how are we not seeing when Dr. Dre slapped D Barnes? That was like a really big moment. And it kind of showed, the duality of Dr. Dre. It was a mistake that he never should have made. He put his hands on a woman. He's just smacking her in the club. That's not there. Like it felt like all of the stuff that contributed to their fall wasn't there. And I feel like you can't give me a biopic and leave out the stuff that makes you human. It's the stuff that we as humans we identify with the most. We see the success and we want to identify with the success, but we identify with the fall a lot more because everybody fails. Everybody fails. We fail in different ways, and we can learn a lot from seeing how other people fail. We can see how it happened, and we can go like, okay, if I'm gonna fail, it's not gonna be like that. But instead, they just gave us a whole lot of, like they gave us the rise, they gave us the grind. It felt like we knew the fall, but we didn't see the fall. And that's why I had to kind of yank it off the top five. And number five is what's love got to do with it. So I'm basically calling this the Tina Turner rule. Because how can you have a redemption arc if you had the reason you need a redemption arc in the first place? And what's love got to do with it? That came out in '93. That was a survival story. Like it's not just an R&B biopic. That was a survival story. We got to see Tina and Ike hitting the basically the chitlin circuit. They're down south grinding, and they're getting their sound out. You got to see them rise. You got to see like the beginning stages of Ike being a monster, and you got to see Tina basically taking it, and she didn't know any better. And then you see the fall, and the fall is ugly. And they didn't try to hide it. They didn't try to make Tina Turner look like, no, this just happened out of the blue or anything like that. They showed her as a victim, and they showed the why, and it showed the mistakes that she made, and nothing was sugarcoated. And from the fall, we got to see the redemption. We got to see Tina Turner walk out of that hotel holding nothing but her name and a bloody face and 35 cents. That's literally what she said happened. And that's what they showed. Like, she didn't just find her voice, she reclaimed her entire life. Like, she reclaimed an entirely different sound. And I didn't really know a lot about Tina Turner before I watched that movie. And I'm looking like the respect I have for her from watching that was absolutely amazing. That's the stuff you should get from a biopic. Like, you have your uncles and your aunties and your mom, telling you all this stuff about her, and you're like, okay. But when you see it for yourself, it's absolutely amazing. This is the stuff that a biopic has to have. And everyone that I picked after this did what she did, but it was like a little bit better. And that's why this is at five. And this is why I couldn't put Straight Outta Compton in the top five, because they just left that part out. Like, it wasn't there. And we're in the movie theater waiting for it. Like, okay. So this is the part where, okay, they didn't show that. This is the part where him and Miss Chalet, they didn't show that. You can't do us like that. Alright, so that's number five. Number four, the New Edition story. Now, I toyed with putting this a little bit higher, and then I saw my top three, and I'm like, you can't pass those. But the New Edition story, it's one of those that it was amazing to watch. Now, it came out on BET, so at first I had really low standards for this movie. I'm like, this is about to be trash, because BET and Lifetime, they usually just do a horrible job. They try to rush through it. They try to tell like the entire story in 15 minutes. So you'll have that thing where, and this is why like things, this is why movies like Notorious and All Eyes on Me aren't here. The person, like, Tupac and Biggie, they were like 8 years old, and then they grew up in like 15 minutes. Why are you rushing that? Like, those experiences make you you, and you just rushed right through it. Don't try to give me everything if you can't give me everything. And that's my thing about it. And BET, gotta give them credit, because what they did was they decided not to rush it. They're like, you know what? You want the New Edition story? We're gonna give it to you. We're gonna give you everything. So they broke it up in three parts. We got to see them as kids, like 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. And we got to see them rise slowly and practice hard. And then they got to where they became teenagers and they blew up. And that was part two. Then we got to see them become grown men in part three and see all the strife and all the internal beef and all of that. It was appointment viewing. Like, it really was. And I had kids in my class telling me, man, New Edition, that was so good, Mr. Parker, I'm telling you, man. And I'm like, yeah. Now, some stuff I can't believe our parents let y'all watch, but yeah. All in all, New Edition really passed the test better than most of these movies, because what they did was they showed the internal jealousy of the group. They showed Bobby Brown's spiral. I had no clue Ricky Bell had a drug problem. I didn't know that he went through that. And it was bad. They did not hide it. They really didn't. They showed Ronnie DeVoe how he struggled after the group, and they showed Michael Bivins when he found out that he was getting played by his label, so he decided to make his own label. They left nothing out. They didn't try to make themselves look like saints. Like, they didn't try to make themselves look good. They put it all out there, and they was like, you know what? This is our story. What do you think? So when you see the scene when they're at the wedding and they're hugging it out like grown men do when they decide, you know what, we're gonna make the best of things, like, you feel that, man, I'm glad they came back together. Even though you knew they came back together because you bought tickets to the concert and saw them all perform. Like, it was funny. Like, A movie that is as honest as that, it makes you root for them even though you know the outcome. That's the type of movie that makes you like a top five ever biopic. Couldn't pass the Temptations though. Temptations at number three. Temptations now and forever. This is the heavyweight champion of putting it all out there. That's what they did. I mean, this is one of those movies where it's hard to watch at times. Like watching Paul go through what he went through with the alcohol, him starting off not even wanting to take a drink, and then him becoming like so strung out on alcohol that he ended up, losing his life. Watching David Ruffin start off so humble and ended up just basically imploding. Like it's one of those movies where they did what New Edition did, but they were the template. They were like the prototype of this thing. Them in another movie. They put it all out there. They're like, look, we're the Temptations. We went through some stuff. My uncles tried to tell me this part, but I did not know that at one point there were two completely different groups of Temptations out on the road touring separately. And they had some original members mixed with some new members in one group, and some original members and some new members in another group. And they said, we're both the Temptations. They were that pissed off with each other. I'm like, wow. How much animosity must you have to do that? But they easily could have hid a lot of parts of their lives because they're so loved as a group. They could have hid some stuff and been like, you know what? Just leave that out. But now they're like, you know what? There are a lot of people like me who weren't around when the Temptations were doing their thing. And we want them to know everything about us because we went through some mess. It was really dope to see. Like what it showed from David Ruffin's ego to watching the part where Otis Williams found out that he lost his son while he's on the road. It showed that Motown sound, like that Motown sound that we all know and love, it came with a human cost. Like they they sacrificed a lot to give us what they gave us. That's what makes the movie a classic. It didn't flinch. It was like, look, we are who we are, and we did what we did. And that's what makes Temptations number three. So if you keep a score at home, five is what's love got to do with it. Four is the New Edition story. Three are the Temptations. Number two. Now, honestly, I went back and forth with this one, but number two is Ray. Look, Jamie Foxx didn't play Ray Charles as a hero. Like he played him as a selfish man who was really stuck on heroin. Like he was really messed up. And that whole redemption thing, it works because in this movie, we watched him hit rock bottom. We didn't like see a part on the screen that says Ray Charles went to rehab and then 6 months later. Nah, they said later for that. We watched his rise and we could all see his fall coming. And you're watching the movie and you're like, Ray, no, don't do that. Ray, no. Ray, leave the girls alone. You're sitting there rocking back and forth, going like, come on, Ray. You got too much talent. Like, but you saw the fall coming. And when you see rock bottom, him in the rehab center talking to the rehab counselor, trying to convince him that he's good, and the rehab counselor's like, "Nah, I know people like you. You're not good." And Ray Charles just flips the chess table over and all of that. You're looking like, damn, like he really went through it. Like he really went through some stuff. And you could watch Ray. There could be 10 people around you, and you could have 15 different takes. That's how well Ray Charles was played by Jamie Foxx. Like he became Ray Charles. It there's there are few movies that I watch where I look at the person and halfway through the movie I completely forget that that person is an actor. This is one of those movies. He did such an amazing job with that role. And the surrounding cast, the supporting cast, they made you feel the rise. And you were with them during the grind. And when he fell and everybody around him started to fall, like you really felt that. And that's what made this movie number two, because even more than the movies before that I listed, this one didn't flinch to like the 15th power. And unlike most of these people, there was enough in here where you probably could have just sugarcoated it. Like you really could have. Because there's a lot about Ray Charles that a lot of people didn't know. I mean, I was mind blown to see how he grew up. They could have left all of that out, and to see his brother passing away at such a young age, and how it affected him for his entire life, and how he became blind, and how his mother stayed on him so he could become that independent. It was just a mind blowing watch. There were no shortcuts in this movie, and that's what made it so great. I feel like if you know me or if you know biopics, you know number one is the Jacksons in American Dream. And it's one of those where you got to look at it through the Tina Turner test. You have to. I mean, they showed Joe Jackson's belt a lot. I mean, they do. It shows the pressure that he put them through. He put them through a lot. And it's one of those things where a lot of people made jokes about it, a lot of people made cracks about it. But seeing that and seeing where I remember a scene where one of the older Jacksons, it might have been Jackie, it might have been Randy, I forget which one, but there were kids bullying him, and he runs home. He's like, no, 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 I'm not fighting, and he's about to get jumped by the boys. And Joe Jackson goes like, if y'all want to fight him, okay, let's fight him, but we're gonna do this right. So one of the boys said he wanted to fight. So Joe Jackson gets the gloves and he puts the gloves on the boys, and he's like, if y'all gonna fight, go ahead and fight. Get it out now because it's over with after this. And he has them fight. And Randy or Jackie, I forget which one, he wins the fight. He beats him up. And Mama Jackson is all upset. She's like, how could you make them do this? And young boy is like, look, I listened to what Joe said and it worked. I stood up for myself and it worked. That's the scene where you go like, damn, what he's doing is actually working. He's really building them up. We can definitely disagree with how he did it, 100%. But look at where it got him. Look at what it did for them. And there's no right or wrong answer for this. Well, actually, there is a right answer because, I mean, child abuse is child abuse. But in his mind, he's like, this is what they need to do to become as great as I think they can be. Different times, I suppose. But what the Jackson's American Dream movie didn't do was they didn't just shoot through that. They didn't just go like, okay, this is what happened, blah blah blah. Nah, they showed that, and they showed how bad Joe Jackson wanted them to succeed. He did it at a substantial cost to the relationships of his sons and his wife and his daughters. And he never found that balance. You see that in the movie. He never found that balance, and it ended up shaping everybody's life. Being able to see that is excellent to see. It's a blueprint for me because it proved you could tell a story about the biggest stars on earth without pretending it's like a Disney thing. And I feel like a lot of biopics do that. You're talking about a big star like a Tupac or a Biggie or Michael Jackson. So what you do is you put them on a pedestal, right? And you go like everything happened because of hard work and they never quit, and you put the lighter in the air and wave it from side to side, and you put the little Disney characters next to them, and yeah, you succeed. Life is not like that. It's not. There's hard work. There's very hard work. And if you're putting in hard work, you're sacrificing something because you believe that it's worth it. And more than all the movies here, the Jacksons and American Dream showed that the ground was painful and the rise was complicated. There, this was before Michael Jackson was accused of the stuff he was accused of. This movie stopped way before that because time didn't reveal that. And from what I heard, I feel like the Michael Jackson movie that's out now didn't cover that either because it stopped before that point. But in order for a movie, a biopic, to be a true biopic, you can't flinch from stuff like that. It has to be told because what you're doing is you're giving the public a story, a true story of what happened. And if you try to sanitize it, you're not giving us a true story. That's why Straight Outta Compton had to get moved to the mentions list. It's a great movie, but it just failed the Tina Turner test. I mean, that's what it is. Like when you produce your own life story and you leave parts out of it, like the D Barnes incident, where you were the villain in somebody else's story, you aren't really giving us redemption. It's a commercial. And on this show, man, we're not doing commercials. We're doing the truth. So, I mean, that's what it is. You're telling your own story, right? Sometimes in your story, you're not the hero. You're the hero to yourself. But if somebody else is telling your story, their story, you might not be a hero in that story. And that needs to be addressed. You gotta be you gotta be comfortable enough to go like, look, I may have done some stuff that messed some people up. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. And I feel like the top five on this list, they really did that. So, hey, let me know what you think. Did I forget some movies? I feel like I did. I'm not gonna tell you which ones I think I forgot. For instance, I feel like I should have did a top eight, and the movies that I mentioned that are in the mentions would still be in the mentions because there are three movies that I felt like I should have put on here, but I wanted to make it a top five. So if you have some movies that you felt like should have been on this list, go ahead and hit me up and let me know. If you know some movies that are not hip hop and R&B, or and you really feel like they should be on your list, let me know about those as well because stuff like Bohemian Rhapsody, stuff like that, excellent movies, and they told stories amazingly. This was just a different list. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign out. I had a lot of fun doing this list and things like that. Definitely plan on doing this again really soon, and we will jump back into reviewing teachers movies starting next week. I have one that's a teacher movie, but a lot of people really don't rock with it, and it was more accurate than people think, even though it's a comedy, a wild comedy too. So we're gonna go ahead and slide out. We got that on the table for next week. As always, y'all, you got a Cincy fan reviewing. Hey, life is good.